Baby's shaking her head no.
She's eating waffles this morning. I think she's done. Yeah. I don't care about that.
Okay, it's 10 o'clock. So hopefully other people will log in shortly. I'm going to go to the share screen now. And this is the slide we left off on Wednesday. So the next slide here is one that I added. It won't be in the PowerPoint that is in your file because I added it this morning. And the reason I did so is because of something I was noticing yesterday. I had gotten a request for LinkedIn from people I didn't know. So I looked at their profiles, and while I was looking at it, I saw profiles from Belhaven students who had graduated 2-3 years ago who had not updated their LinkedIn profiles to say what their jobs were, what kind of job they were looking for. They still were saying that they were a Belhaven University student. So when you go to LinkedIn and connect to me, you need to remember that on your profile, you need to keep it up to date and check it every month or so to update it, and you can use it to look for jobs and so on. The other thing I thought was a good idea to mention is that human resource departments now routinely check social media before determining whether to hire a candidate. And so you should not post anything on social media that you don't want a prospective employer to see. And if it's already too late for that, go back and try to purge old posts, tweets, whatever. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide here. The topic shifts now from advice for new accountants to advice for seasoned practitioners. And the first thing that they wanted to point out was about CPE, continuing professional education. And Jeffers and Bacalek said that you should seek out CPE courses in ethics and professional conduct that are truly valuable, not simply those that satisfy the requirement as easily as possible. A true commitment to improving requires effort and to not simply take the easiest way, and that CPE should be invigorating and revitalize your love of the profession. State boards of public accountancy require CPAs to take a certain number of hours of CPE each year to keep their licenses. Mississippi, for example, requires 40 hours a year. Note that these are not semester hours like college classes, but rather are contact hours. So essentially one work week a year must be spent in CPE courses. And let's see, what did I want to add to that? Oh, on the website of the Mississippi State Board of Public Accountancy, they list the requirements for CPE, and it includes a certain number of hours required for ethics. So the state CPA societies sponsor and or publicize CPE sessions. The Mississippi Society of Certified Public Accountants has on its homepage a hyperlink to a catalog listing the current year's CPE sessions. Let's open up that hyperlink, go to their website, and here in their menu, members, CPE resources, careers, advocacy, young CPAs, CPE catalog. And so it lists all of the training sessions that they have here, where they are, and the fee for doing it. If it's done in conjunction with the MSCPA and you're a member, you usually get a discounted price, but not always. For the Young CPA conference, the Young CPAs are all members of the MSCPA anyway, so I'm not sure what would be the point of. Okay, so the 8 here, I believe, is the number of hours that they get. So it's from 8:30 to 4:30, it's an 8-hour meeting. And most of these have been canceled because of the coronavirus. Don't know when they'll be able to reopen them, but I think that the state board is being lenient about the requirements because they understand people are going to have difficulty for attending sessions. However, though, a lot of them in the past several years have been online anyway. So some of them are going to be continuing. Let's take a look at the page for young CPAs. That's something that you might want to consider if you're going to go into public accountancy. The Mississippi Young CPA Network is a group designed to help young MSCPA members establish connections with other aspiring professionals, exchange ideas, and grow in their careers. Network discussions are geared towards professionals ages 35 and under, or within the first 5 years of becoming a CPA. And they have events, communications, conferences, and this relates back to what we were talking about last time. In this right here, advice for new accounting professionals, find fellow practitioners at roughly your same level and befriend them. So they wouldn't necessarily have to be in the same firm because of the networking opportunity that that young CPA organization provides. And this would not only be good for your professional development, but also for networking for job opportunities. Okay, so second advice, convene formal and informal discussion groups among those of your colleagues who are similarly enthusiastic about promoting high ethical standards. Jefferson Picolic advised accountants to start a society of friends devoted to ethical considerations and virtue that would provide a forum for discussing difficult ethical matters. This wisdom parallels the suggestion for new CPAs to form a circle of like-minded friends. And it's supported by the same logic. Seek to mentor younger members just as you were mentored. Jefferson Picolic say that one should pay back for what you were given by others, and added that the mentoring relationship is often even more pleasant and helpful for the mentor as for the protege. Also, one should take steps to contribute to the community at large. Jefferson Picolic saw this as part of unity of life. And I think that this is a biblical principle. You are not an accountant 5 days a week and a Christian 1 day a week and a family member on Saturdays or whatever, evenings. You have one life that's every day of the week. And they said that you as an accountant should see the improvement of mankind with your peculiar gifts. And they used an old meaning of the word peculiar because peculiar now usually means odd, but it has an older meaning of particular and is related to the concept of one's gifts. And I'm not sure why that part of the sentence has disappeared. We can see this in the older King James Version translation of 1 Peter 2:9. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should, I don't even know in King that old if that's shoe or show, forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness. You know what I think is going on here? A peculiar people, okay. Whoops. Okay, him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. The phrase a peculiar people is translated in the ESV as a people for his own possession. So it could mean particular people, chosen people, his own possession. So your peculiar gifts, that would be the gifts that are unique or belonging to you. And let's make a distinction then between talents and skills on the one hand and spiritual gifts on the other. In Christian thought, a distinction is made between a talent or skill on the one hand and a spiritual gift on the other. God gives people talents. Often these talents are the source of one's abilities used in one's career. Examples of Bible passages illustrating this are Daniel 1:17. God gave these 4 young men an unusual aptitude for understanding every aspect of literature and wisdom. Exodus 36:1. The Lord has gifted Bezalel, Oholiab, and the other skilled craftsmen with wisdom and ability to perform any task involved in building the sanctuary. And Moses called Bezalel and Oholiab and every craftsman in whose mind the Lord had put skill. Spiritual gifts well, let me back up. Talents and skills may be given in God's common grace to unbelievers. Spiritual gifts, on the other hand, are given by the Holy Spirit only to believers at the time of their conversion. This is explained in Romans 12, 3 through 8, 1 Corinthians 7, 7, 1 Corinthians 12, 1 through 31, and 1 Peter 4, 10. Note that the purpose of spiritual gifts is to build up the church. To each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. As each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. Some of the gifts seem supernatural, miracles and healing, while others do not, teaching, helping, administrating. Note also that there is, again, I don't know what happened to the grammar here. That no single gift is given to all Christians. 1 Corinthians 12, 27 through 31, especially in verses 29 through 30, plainly states that not everyone has gifts of miracles, healing, tongues, etc. The Holy Spirit distributes different gifts to different people because each different kind of gift is useful in building up the church. It is odd that some Christians ignore this teaching and insist that Christians must be baptized in the Spirit and receive the gift of speaking in tongues. Some Christians say that if that doesn't happen, you're not even saved. But that's really contrary to what the Bible actually says. So let's go back to the idea of talents. How can an accountant serve his or her community with his or her talents? Here's a list of suggestions. Volunteer to do taxes for people. Now, even if it's your business doing taxes for people and that's how you make your living, you might do on a volunteer basis taxes for low-income people that wouldn't be able to afford it. You could serve as the treasurer for a church or a nonprofit organization. You can provide consulting services for a nonprofit organization or serve on its board of directors. They'd probably be thrilled to have an accountant on their board. The CPA firm may donate its time to audit a nonprofit organization or give them an audit at a reduced rate. You could give talks on personal finance. Note that the AICPA has a web page that has links to different types of service opportunities for CPAs. On the page is a hyperlink to a list of opportunities called Volunteer Central. This was an old slide, so it's not found. One last word of advice. If your conscience is ever uncomfortable about what is going on in your firm, resign immediately if you don't think you can change the corporate culture. There are a lot of well-paid job opportunities for competent accounting professionals, but there are not many job openings for convicts. Many of the whistleblowers in the frauds we looked at in this course did pretty well. They were able to write books, go on speaking tours, etc. But many of the fraudsters lost their CPA licenses, were jailed, fined, etc. In fact, a surprisingly large number of them died. So even if you have no ethics yourself above the egoist's fear of punishment, try to stay out of jail. And that finishes our PowerPoints for the semester. So let me put in people who came in later. No particular order. Who am I missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Got everybody. So questions or comments? I have not finished grading the worldview essays, but I'm making progress on that. And yesterday I finished another quiz and put it on Canvas. That was quiz D, which covers the second part of Unit 6 PowerPoint. So I've got 4 more quizzes to prepare. I was on Canvas this morning looking through, and some of you were missing some of the social media assignment posts, or you had not done the connections yet on LinkedIn or on Facebook for the alumni site. And what else do we need to think about? Oh, I noticed that I never put in grades for the extra credit for the boot camp. So I'm going to have to go back and look in my old emails to get the list of the people that attended and put that up. Anything you have questions about?
Yes, sir. I'm still working on my worldview essay,
Okay.
and I was just making sure, is it like the first part, the theory, like or is it our opinion?
The first part is strictly your own opinion.
Okay.
Then the second part is when we went through the class, what were the Christian worldview answers to those questions?
All right.
So if you consider that you have a Christian worldview, use your own wording and your own thoughts for the first section, and then quote class sources and look up quotes and so on for the second part.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and then define the 9 philosophies, and then choose the philosophy in the last part that matches the worldview that you described in part 1. And explain how you would use it in your career.
So in that philosophy part, can we use Christianity, or he wants to choose a different one?
Christianity is a worldview, not a philosophy.
Okay. And then for the
It has to be one of the 9 philosophies defined in part 3. And I see his lips moving. I don't know if she.
The only reason I asked that was because like in our like summary that we had to type, or our outline, Christianity was was an option from what you gave us.
I think you didn't read it carefully. What I was saying is that if you had a Christian worldview, then you would have to choose the philosophy in part 3 that you think best matches your worldview.
Okay. And then for the Peregrine test, is that timed, or do we have like unlimited time to do it?
Okay, I can't answer that because I never took it, but 2 of you at least have already taken it. So was that test timed when you took it?
There's a time limit for each question.
Okay. And do you remember what that limit was?
I think it was 3 minutes.
For multiple choice questions, then 3 minutes is a lot of time unless it's a calculation. So I don't know how many of them were calculations. and how many of them were conceptual?
But you also can take breaks during the test. So
Oh, that's good too. I didn't know you could do that. So did you count how many questions there were? Because someone asked me that and I didn't have an answer.
106.
106 questions. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting to me to know that you could take breaks, start it, and then finish it later. People that are having a hectic home life now, that's probably going to be a big relief. Okay, I don't think we need to have more Zoom sessions for lectures, but I want to stay in touch at least once a week and have a Zoom meeting just to see if there's questions and how you're doing and talk about assignments and so on. So I'm thinking next week we should have the regular Zoom meeting on Monday, but we might not need one on Wednesday. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
I think
Yeah,
right
so-
now, most of what you have to do is writing and studying for quizzes. And you probably could spend your time more usefully doing that than in a class meeting. All right, so be careful. Hope nobody has any family members that have gotten sick or anything. And I'll see you again on Monday. Talk to you then.
Smith, I got one question for you.
Okay.
Let's talk about. So my email last night about the Constitution that I used in my paper.
Right.
It comes from Article 5. That's the Bill of Rights. So do I need to quote? So I put the website where I found the online version of the U.S. Constitution.
Put that on the reference page, right?
Right, but for the article, do I just need to put quote Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution end quote, or do I need to actually put what I have on my reference page also?
I think all you need to do is put Article 5 because if you're talking that it's from the Constitution, then it should be obvious to the reader, who's me, because we talked about it already anyway, and that's enough.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, any other questions? All right, some of you've got a backlog of work, so I know the weekend's coming up, but this might not be the best weekend to relax. So I'll see you again on Monday. Talk to you then. Bye now.